Check one, two. Check. Megan, would you please read the statement of presiding officer?
Of course. In compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act of New Jersey, adequate notice of this meeting, specifically the time, date, and public call and information were included in the meeting that was electronically sent to the Echo Sentinel and Morris Daily Record and posted on the township website. The agenda and public handouts for this meeting can be viewed online at www.longhillnj.gov. A public comment period will be held and the order is listed on the meeting agenda.
Let's rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Megan, would you please take the roll?
Committeeman Dorsey?
Here.
Committeeman Ray?
Present.
Committeeman Verleza will not be joining us. Deputy Mayor Paserchia?
Present.
Mayor Lavender?
Here. Okay. Good evening, everybody. We're going to start off with a presentation from the Shade Tree Committee. We have Susan Jeans and Gordon Redgate. Come on up. I'm sorry? Oh, yep. Well, I'll let you introduce everybody, Gordon. Come on up to the mic.
And Mr. Mayor, I like correcting you in public. It's the Shade Tree Commission, and I partly joked there. There is a legal difference there, so
I know.
I just want to say it's the commission.
Thank you for your passive aggressiveness, Mr. Deputy Mayor.
You're almost welcome.
Okay, I would like to introduce we have a couple of other members of the commission here, and that includes Gordon Redgate, of course, Mary Ellen Grunther is here, and I have one other gal coming that I know of, Ann Cade. We also have here John Linson, who is the arborist who, in fact, wrote up this particular plan. The plan does date from 2020, but it still is relevant because, if anything, even more trees have come down in that one section of Valley Road. Is an area that we had delineated years ago. Actually, it was Walter Carell and Don Farnell and I walked the three centers of the various towns that make up this community. At the time, Gillette Century was more at the center where the post office and that group of things were. Then we did Sterling, and Sterling was always a conundrum because of the work being done there. And then there was various areas of Millington. The other night, actually, Dennis Sandow came to our meeting, and he suggested we also revisit Myersville as a separate section of the town, and we had done that, but we will certainly think about that. This section of town goes from the edge of Gillette to the edge, beginning of Sterling, about across from where ShopRite is, and our objectives at the time when we were walking it was to beautify, simply to beautify, but it's also because trees have many different advantages. By planting these trees, we hope to achieve some sort of uniformity along our main street and bring some beauty back to some sections that have been sort of deplete. Do you all got a section, that you have the paperwork? Okay. Do you have any questions on the thing?
Well, I just have a general question. Does the property owner, like you said, plant in the middle of the property? The property owner's okay with this?
Well, the question on all of these areas were that this is a county road, so we needed special consideration because we were dealing with a county road, and/or it was private property. So it's almost like we needed to take care of one aspect of things before we could move on to other aspects of things. So this is our first step.
Okay. Well, the other question I had is, for example, the car wash area.
Uh-huh.
Do you really want to start planting there?
No, because things have changed there.
Okay, that's what I thought. If they're going to redevelop the property.
Things have changed, and yeah, this is since 2020.
Okay.
Does anyone else have?
So the first step in this would be to make sure that you have the funding locked down, and then you would go to the next step of getting permissions.
Exactly. We want to have the funding and the okay from you guys before we start pursuing what has to happen next.
And how much money do you think you would need for this?
Well, John?
You know, basically, the cost to plant a 2 to 2.5 inch caliper tree with a 2-year guarantee is about $400. So for the 14 trees that were on our little survey, comes to about $5,600. So $6,000, if you budgeted $6,000, you'd be in good shape.
Okay, who would be doing the work?
What's the, what?
I'm sorry.
Who would be doing the work?
Well, you have to get some prices yet, but she has some people in mind.
I'd gotten estimates, but that was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I'd gone to Rose Valley, which is in town. I went to TA Hall because they were in town. I went to Barton's, who is a provider in Westfield who has yards in South Jersey. Now, John actually has some figures from Barton's. Barton's will have by far the best stock, and the figures I got from Barton's were by far the best in terms of costs. However, at that time, I was told that they would not do the planting. He's gotten an affirmative that they would do the planting.
Oh, I see. So 6,000 delivered, planted,
2-year guarantee.
2-year guarantee.
You know, the only issue is watering, if you could get
Watering
Public Works
bags.
or actually the adjacent property owners to participate in watering. The first 2 years is pretty critical.
Or what about those water bags? Those, do you
But,
recommend
yeah,
those?
the gator bags, you have to fill them 3 times a week, so
Yeah.
it's you still gotta get somebody out there watering.
Right.
And when would these go into the ground? In the fall or in the spring or?
Well, we're at the first step.
Okay, yeah, oh, yeah,
So
that's
the
right.
fact
So you
that
got,
the
you got,
sooner
you got some,
We can move along with first step and then
Yeah.
now then we have to figure out where we plant the trees in terms of ownership of the property or county road positions and stuff like that. We
Yeah.
did take into account all along the overhead wires and things like that, so that our plantings would not interfere with situations like that. And then obviously there's the matter of the car wash, which now is changing hands, and so there are gonna be some subtle changes to what we had envisioned, but we have a very good ground.
yeah, these are good-looking trees. I mean, there's gonna be a lot of blossoms and things like that. The little leaf lindens, are those the tall ones or the shorter ones?
It's a full tree.
It's like, it's,
Yeah.
they're the
They're-
real big ones,
It's a
right?
mixture of flowering and shade trees.
Yeah,
Yeah, the little leaf linden is a full-size
Yeah.
tree.
yeah,
And the thing that's wonderful about it historically is those are the trees that you would have in England and in Europe to a large extent, and also Westfield, so everywhere. But in England and Europe, and the place we've putting in front of is the military museum.
yeah.
And when we were talking to him, he was sort of enchanted with the idea of the lindens.
Yeah, it's
and
in character,
because
yeah.
it has historic.
Yeah, are these,
somehow.
that is a sweet fragrance too in the spring, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's nice too.
It's a pollinator and it's native. It's a native cultivar.
Yeah.
And then resistant to diseases and these bugs that we've had.
One never knows what comes down the pike, but that's true.
You can get aphids on them, but, you know, they really don't have too many other problems.
Okay, all right, so what you be asking for is $6,000 to a commitment from us to get this going. I mean, I'm for it.
Does that come out of open space?
I don't think we can do open
Oh, it
space.
can't?
Yeah.
Oh,
No, but there's room enough for 6,000 in the budget.
okay.
Susan, I thought that you had originally requested 20,000 for this?
At that point, I didn't have estimates on the implant, the planting and the cost of the trees. And so we wanted to err on the side of, it'd be better to get enough money to do the project and say, oh, we didn't need that much, than to go the other way.
Well, 6,000's a lot easier to
Oh,
fit in the
yeah.
budget, yeah.
Certainly is.
Yeah, excuse me, I'm sorry. There's a couple possibly conflicting issues. When we met with Brendan and with Guy and with Victor over the years, they always said, put some money in the budget for trees. So you have money for trees. So the amount that we're asking for in the budget, I think was like 18 something. That was just, money in the budget for trees. This is just a very specific project that would come out of the total budget.
Right,
If you guys are on board with that.
Brendan, you're out there. Do you want to weigh in?
No, I've been listening to the project as described by Susan, and I think it would be, a real benefit to Valley Road. So, as long as the town has the resources to kind of care for them over, especially the first couple of years, I think I would be definitely in favor.
Good, all right. And then Matt, you,
I had to answer my questions.
yep. Guy?
I'm fine.
Me too. So I think it's a go.
Okay, that sounds wonderful.
Thank you, good job.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I have another question. We are also starting the challenge grant this spring, which we do twice a year. And over the years, I have to tell you that we started at 150, it went to 175, went to 200. We're going to have to raise it to 225, and that's over a period of 20 years. It's not like it's going like this. But last year, our costs exceeded our budget by, I think it was $11. But we wanted to make sure that we're okay with our our challenge grant program this year. And they said I should mention that also here so that you can okay that change.
Do you want to?
Yeah, we had just wanted you guys to okay that. I mean, Susan had mentioned that, Randy and I didn't know this, that the governing body never really okayed the amount of trees for the amount of dollars charged for the trees. If the trees are getting more expensive, this is not something that the taxpayers are paying for. If residents are willing to pay it, and they're getting more expensive, and part of that money does cover DPW, actually doing the planting. So, I mean, we're fine with it as long as you're fine with it.
Yeah, we've had varying years where we've had a number of trees that were in the $175 to $200 range. If we have a bunch of people who want red buds and little trees, then we do fine. Last year, we wanted a large number of people who wanted oaks and maples, big trees. Well, I'm all in favor of it, but they cost more. So I couldn't balance it as well. So this allows me to have that balance. I'm hoping that it'll work out just fine, and then, any of the extra money can go toward, we had talked about possibly springing for the water bags.
Right.
So it all depends, where our money comes out in the end in terms of that particular.
So in the past, you never passed resolutions or anything. If you just want to give a verbal okay, because we never really discussed that. So.
Yeah, no, I think it makes sense. Any objection up here? Brendan, are you okay with it?
Yep, I'm okay with it.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for coming.
Hey, Brendan, while you're out there, are you able to hang in there through all the business that we have? Or should we do consent agenda? We're good?
No, I'll be able to, be here for the entire meeting.
Oh, excellent. All right, good. Thank you. All right, so let's move forward. The next is ordinance 509-23, first reading and introduction. Jack, do you want to give a quick synopsis on this?
Yes, the purpose of this is it requires all patient care facilities to enter into a contract to provide emergency, or non-emergency, I should say, ambulance services, so that our local first aid squad is not overwhelmed.
Right, and I think we brought this up at a previous meeting, and we tabled it so that the first aid squad could weigh in on it, and I think they did, right?
In fact, they did, and I spoke to Bob English, and we made some revisions that they had requested.
Okay.
So they've now signed off on this version of the ordinance.
All right, good. All right, so this is just the first reading. If we approve this to move forward, we'll have the second reading, when, Megan? April 12th? And then we'll have public comment on it then. So can I have a motion to approve ordinance 509-23?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Oh,
Committeeman Dorsey?
Yes.
Committeeman Ray?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Paserchia?
Yes.
Mayor Lavender?
yes. Sorry about that, Megan. Habit from the past. All right, next. And this one, Committeeman Dorsey will recuse himself.
Correct.
This is ordinance 512-23, first reading and introduction. An ordinance approving an application for a long-term tax exemption and authoring the execution of a financial agreement with Sterling SL Urban Renewal. Now, this is a first reading, but I know folks may have questions on this. I'll take comments on it. But Jack, can you give a little bit of background here, especially some of the color that might not be evident?
Yes, Mayor, this is an ordinance approving, excuse me, a payment in lieu of taxes agreement with the developers of the car wash property. The proposed agreement has been reviewed by our tax assessor as well as our CFO, and both of them commented favorably on the agreement. So based on that, what will happen is that the redeveloper will pay the town a set amount as set forth in the agreement in lieu of the annual payment of taxes. I believe the current tax collection on that property is $460,000. That's what sticks in my mind. But in any event, we'll be collecting far in excess of that amount pursuant to this pilot agreement.
Okay. I'll open this up to the public if anybody has any questions, either here or online.
Mr. Mayor, Tom Jones, Gillette. You said it's $460,000 is what the current taxes are for the car wash location? Was that what I heard?
I think that might have been a misstatement.
No, that's a misstatement. I'm sorry.
I could barely hear you in the back. That's why I
Yeah,
came
I
running
think it
up.
was 46,000.
Yeah, we're gonna find it.
I'm not sure. I shouldn't have said that because I'm not sure.
So I got the 4 and the 6 right, but I might have the decimal and the comma in the wrong
Yeah,
place.
it's 5 digits.
5 digits?
Currently versus 6 digits in the future.
6 digits in the
Yeah,
future.
probably like a factor of 10.
Yes.
Okay. And is there an end date on that payment in lieu of taxes? Is that for a set duration of time?
It's for 30 years.
30 years?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks. It's very, very advantageous to the town.
Yep.
Yeah,
I just wanted to get my mind wrapped around that.
yep,
Thank you.
sure.
Sorry about that.
No problem. Any other questions? Anybody online, Megan?
There is a CA would like to speak.
Go ahead.
Charles Arenowitz, Millington, can you hear me?
Yes.
You can.
I'd like Mr. Pigeon to tell us how much revenue we'd receive if we did not have the pilot. In other words, it was just based on the assessed value of the improved property. What would the taxes be, and then what are they going to pay?
I'm sorry, Mr. Arenowitz, I can't answer that.
What do you mean?
You're asking what we would collect in taxes if it, I don't think I'm the right person to answer that question.
Well, can someone on the committee answer the question then?
Yeah, I think the answer to that, Chuck, is it probably wouldn't happen at all, so we would probably
Yeah,
continue collecting what we're collecting right now on the car wash.
I don't quite understand that. If we're paying as residents on our assessed value, for the sake of math and understanding, I'd like to know what the projected assessed value of that property would be and what the taxes would be if we didn't have the pilot. I understand what you're saying about what we need to develop the property. I just want to understand the difference.
So you're talking, so right now, we're collecting about 40,000 on that property, right? And the question you're asking is, once this is built, what would the tax revenue be on that?
That's correct.
Okay. That, I can't answer it. It's kind of a hypothetical question, though, isn't it, Chuck?
Well, I mean, if you're going to build the structure, you know what the dimensions are. You know, if it's comparable to whatever the building of Walgreens or whatever, you could have comparable estimates just so we could understand what the cost would be if we went to full assessment versus what we're doing in this term financial agreement / pilot.
Nancy, what, did you find the payment in there?
Looking for. I'm looking, that's not gonna answer Mr. Wright's question, though. I mean, we didn't ask the assessor to figure that out. I don't know that he'd be able to without.
Well,
Well, I
as the mayor said too, it wasn't economically viable without a pilot.
So I think, so Chuck, I'll answer your question this way, and you tell me if this satisfies you. This is first reading, and this is why we opened up public comment on this.
They pay $45 now.
So, we'll research that question, and, next time this is in front of the committee, we'll have a better answer for you. Is that fair?
That's fair.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks.
Anybody else, Megan? And,
else on Zoom?
one thing I'll say, I'm just looking at the document here right now, was that 548,000 per year?
Right, I think it was going to increase by tenfold. I believe in
From
rough
45
numbers,
to
they pay like
548.
50 now to
Yeah.
5, yeah.
Yeah, so that would have a significant impact immediately on the collections in town. Okay, all right, so I'll close public comment on that. Let me find my place here. So can I have a motion to approve ordinance 512-23?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Committeeman Dorsey's abstaining. Committeeman Ray?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Paserchia?
Yes.
Mayor Lavender?
Yes. Okay, we'll go get Matt. And so the public hearing on that's going to be scheduled for April 12th. Okay, the next one, ordinance 507-23. This is a second reading and adoption concerning the Township Emergency Management Coordinator and amending Chapter 2 of the Township Code entitled Administration. And Jack, this is simply complying with the new state regulations, correct? Now we can, if we did, we could hire an OEM coordinator from out of town. They don't have to live in town. Is that right?
That's right, they have to live close to town so that they're available, but yes. And
Okay.
we don't need it right now, but we'll have it in place for the future.
Yeah, so this is just aligning our rules with what the state says. All right, so I'll open the public hearing on this. Is there any comment here in the courtroom? Nope. All right, Megan, online?
If anybody on Zoom would like to make a public comment, please raise your hand now. Don't see anyone, Mayor. I don't see anyone, Mayor.
Okay, very good. We'll close public comment. Can I have a motion to approve 507-23?
So moved. Second.
Committeeman Dorsey?
Yes.
Committeeman Ray?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Paserchia?
Yes.
Mayor Lavender?
Yes. Next, ordinance 508-23, second reading and adoption concerning short-term rental properties and supplementing and amending Chapter 3 of the Township Code entitled Police Regulations, otherwise known as the Airbnb ordinance.
Correct.
Okay, Jack, do you want to comment?
Yes, this ordinance says that you can rent out your property for a minimum of 30 days. The intent being to prevent the Airbnb type situation. It also requires registration of the properties, and it also prohibits advertising.
Okay, so you can't rent a property for less than 30 days,
Right.
and you can't advertise, and you said you had to register them.
Yeah, you don't have to register.
You don't
I was
have to.
thinking, you cannot advertise that you're having short-term rentals.
Got it, okay. All right, very good. Any comment from the committee first?
So what's the penalty?
It's the same as a summons would be issued.
And there's no way to set,
The maximum minimum you can set under state law is $100.
there's no,
But it leaves it in the discretion of the judge, so if there's a repeat violator, there is a section in the ordinance that allows the fine to be doubled in the case of a repeat offender, but other than that, we're subject to the state law.
yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate because you know, sometimes you just pay the fine and do the violation.
Exactly. So we have to rely on the judge to make it so it's not economically beneficial to pay the fine and still operate an Airbnb.
The judge has the discretion.
Yes, it could be up to $2,000, and every day that a violation occurs would be a new violation.
Okay.
We can add a minimum fine in here, though, right? As long as it's more than $100? We can't add a minimum fine,
We can make it $100.
but we can't make it any higher?
No.
Oh, all
Yeah,
right.
State statute, so it's, they really should raise that floor.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, right? I mean, for the obvious reason.
So Jack, the judge has the ability to fine from $100 to $2,000. He has the discretion to do that, even though it's a $100 fine.
Correct. If I heard you
Okay.
right.
The judge. He said code enforcement? Brendan, code enforcement?
Hey, Brendan, can you speak up and repeat your question?
Oh, can you hear me?
Now I can, yes.
Oh, okay. No, the question was, the judge has, did I hear it right? That the judge has the discretion to increase the fine from our $100 to somewhere up to, anywhere up to 2,000?
We did not set a minimum fine in this ordinance. If you want to add that, we'd have to carry the ordinance.
Oh, no, it's just that, so whatever if you violate it and you're issued a summons and you go before the judge has the discretion to fine up to $2,000 a day?
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct. Sorry,
That's
I had
actually
a hard
quite-
time hearing you.
Right. Okay. So yeah, the penalty section seems to be quite reasonable, right? Given that latitude.
Yes, it's a general penalty provision that for violation of any code section.
Right.
Okay. All right, so I'll open this up to the public for comment. Is there anybody in the courtroom that wants to comment on this ordinance? Megan, is anybody online?
Anybody on Zoom would like to make a public comment, please raise your hand now. There are a few people, Mayor, so I'm gonna allow John Bentons to speak.
Hi, please state your name and your address, please.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, my name is John Bettinas. I live on Delaware Avenue, Sterling, for 28 years now. We, as our family has a house in the Poconos, and we're going through this STR ordinance right now through Pawpack Township. So we've been doing a lot of research on very similar issues that we're dealing with here in Long Hill. I was able to research a couple of towns, including the town of Secaucus, New Jersey, that just adopted that ordinance. They were able to set again. You'd have to, but I saw the ordinance itself. They were able to set the minimum fine at $1,000 for each offense, an incremental of $500 thereafter, because they didn't want people to, just pay the fine if it was $100, right? So I would just ask that we, look into that we can't do that going forward, so that we don't have, other issues because people are just renting the house out short term and paying the minimal $100 fine.
Yeah, I think what Jack said, John, was that the fine escalates for repeat offenders, and it can escalate on a daily basis, if I heard that correctly.
That's correct. Every day that a violation occurs would be a new violation.
Right, but I think Mr. Bettinas's statement, and I'm not saying he's right or wrong, is that Secaucus set the minimum fine at $1,000. Jack, if I understood you correctly, that's in violation of state statute.
That's correct. and I can tell you that the state statute says that, and if I may just preface my remarks by saying the fact that other towns do something doesn't make it legal. A lot of towns do a lot of illegal things. The state statute provides that the governing body may prescribe that for the violation of any particular ordinance, at least a minimum penalty shall be imposed, by which shall consist of a fine which may be fixed in an amount not exceeding $100. So it's pretty clear. I wish we could do more, but, you know, until they amend the state statute, there's really not much we can do.
The curiosity there is, and I'm sorry, John, I just wanted to follow up on that point by Jack. The judge can fine more.
That's correct.
The ordinance can't state it, but the judge can.
That's correct. And I think the judge, if in fact somebody's a repeat offender or
Frequent flyer.
you know, that he can go higher. And like I said, you can go up to 2,000 a day, which is probably going to be
That's an
an
oddity.
impediment.
That the law allows such discretion. You can have one town where the town fines the offender $100. You can have another town
Well, the
that
law,
fines the offender $1,000.
the law doesn't allow one town to do that and another town not to.
No,
They're ignoring the law.
no, what I'm saying is, if the judge can issue a fine, you can have somebody in Warren who violates the ordinance, say they have the similar ordinance, and the judge says, okay, $100. And then you can have Watchung, the judge says, no, $1,000.
But that's true at the state and federal level as well. Judges have discretion in sentencing. So, you know, you're going to get some discrepancies.
No, okay. So sorry, John, I think, I'll turn it back to you, but hopefully Jack answered the question.
The law was last amended in 2006. Now, it looks like there may be some bills pending, but, yeah, there are bills pending in the legislature. Let me see what they say.
Yeah, again, I'm just, I'm only privy to the, what I see on Google and, and what their ordinance says. I'm not in the government where I can get ordinances, at will. But I specifically saw the $1,000, and I forwarded that on to our community in Pennsylvania to help us with our plight to limit the short-term rentals because of the similar issues that we're seeing here in town.
They may have different laws. I'm sure they have different laws in Pennsylvania as well, so.
No, but I'm talking about New Jersey. I actually misspoke. I said Secaucus, but it's actually Weehawken. Union City's had one in since 2015, so a lot of these towns, were maybe ahead of the curve as opposed to us, behind the curve right now.
All right. Well, thanks, John. I think we have a few people on Zoom. We're going to go on to the next caller.
My only suggestion is if we could just look into that, see if they were able to do it, how they were able to do it, or if it was misinformation. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I just thought I'd bring it up to, us too, so we can protect our town.
All right. Good deal.
I would love to set a
All right.
higher minimum if we can.
Great.
All right. We could always amend this to do that later.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. All right. Megan, who's next?
Dennis Sandow would like to speak.
Go ahead, Dennis.
Dennis Sandow, Millington. I'm looking at 3-19.5A. Upon the complaint of any resident, potential violations of this provision shall be investigated. Does that mean that if there is no complaint, there is no violation?
No, the code enforcement officer always has the authority to investigate.
And I would
In other
assume that
words,
they
if
would make
there
the
is
complaint
a-
themselves.
Correct.
Yeah. Sorry, Dennis.
If there is a short-term rental and it is entirely benign, and if no public nuisance is created that would draw attention to the short-term rental, then there probably would be no complaint, and therefore there would be no violation? Question mark.
No, there would still be a violation if, in fact, the code enforcement officer knew about it and issued a summons.
But if the code enforcement officer doesn't know about it because there is no complaint, then there is no violation.
As a practical
well-
matter, that's true, yes.
Well, that's, if a tree falls in the forest and no one hears it, is there a sound?
I was going to say that.
Well, that's kind of what you're saying.
Yeah.
That's one of the mysteries of life, Dennis, so we'll pass on that question.
Okay,
you,
but essentially, if you have a benign renter who is courteous and thoughtful and caring and very quiet, then there is no violation.
Well, that's a different question.
There's still a violation.
There would be a law, and there would be being within the law and being outside of the law. Right?
Okay, I'm just trying to, I'm essentially looking for the loophole that protects
I know you are.
the benign situation, and apparently this ordinance does allow that. If no one complains, there is nothing to enforce.
That's usually the case in the case of zoning ordinances, except ones that are visible as you drive by.
Well, this is not a zoning ordinance matter.
Oh, I understand that.
Okay, thanks, Dennis.
Okay, my pleasure.
Appreciate it. Anybody else?
If anybody else on Zoom would like to make a public comment, please raise your hand now. I don't see anyone there.
Okay, all right, so we'll close public hearing. Can I have a motion to approve ordinance 507-23?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Committeeman Dorsey?
Yes.
Committeeman Ray?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Paserchia?
Yes.
Mayor Lavender?
Yes. Next, ordinance 511-23, second reading and adoption, setting fees for lead paint inspections and supplementing and amending Chapter 16 of the Township Code entitled Property Maintenance. Jack, can you give us a summary of this?
Yes, Mayor. The state recently passed a new law requiring that all rental properties built prior to 1978 be inspected upon turnover, or I think it's every 3 years. But in any event, we adopt the state statute by reference, and we set the local fees. So we set the local fee at $50 to cover the township's administrative costs, and there's an additional $20 fine that gets paid to the state to be put in a lead paint fund.
Okay, any comment from the committee? All right, I'd open this up to the public for comment. Anybody in the courtroom? Megan, anybody online?
Mr. Sandow would like to speak?
Dennis? Hi, Dennis, go ahead.
I hate to be picky, but
No, you don't.
this applies.
I didn't say that, Dennis, I didn't say that, Jack did.
I'm sorry,
This
Dennis.
applies only to rental properties.
Yes.
Four family and over, right?
So if a
Four family and over.
if a single-family house is rented, it becomes subject to this for the duration of the rental.
No, I believe it's four family and over.
No,
Jack is looking.
every single family, two-family, and multiple rental
Oh,
dwelling.
okay.
So yes,
Right, it's
long as
1970.
it's a
It's
rental property.
built prior to 1978.
Right.
So what it's not like the apartments on Sterling, on Somerset Street. They're not
They're newer than
included.
1978.
Right, but if I suddenly decide to rent my house rather than sell it, then I become subject to this ordinance.
No, you become subject to the state law. So your quarrel is with Trenton, not with the township. All we're doing is really setting the fees for enforcing the state law.
Oh, I don't want to quarrel with Trenton. That'll do me no good at all. I know some of the people who work in Trenton. But I would, before I could rent my house at arm's length for more than 30 days, I would have to get the lead paint inspection.
Correct.
You also have to register.
And then I'd have to get it again 3 years later.
Every 3 years or upon tenant turnover, except that an inspection upon tenant turnover shall not be required if the owner has a valid lead-based certification pursuant to another section of the statute. So you can get a certification which will carry forward.
Oh, okay, so that I really only need the certification once because it's not likely that I could buy lead paint during the intervening 3 years and paint the house.
It sounds to me from reading the state law that it's required every 3 years, but you don't need to get one for every tenant turnover if you have this lead paint certification.
Okay, and the certification comes with the $50 fee?
No.
No, you'd have to get the certification from an outside inspector.
Oh. Otherwise, it has to be re-inspected, even though we all know that lead paint can't be purchased anywhere these days. So it's not, is it reasonable that I could pass the inspection the first time and fail it 3 years later?
Probably not.
If you use lead-based paint in the interim.
First, you have to
Okay.
find the lead-based paint, Dennis.
Okay, but if I move back into the house after 2.5 years, then I don't need any further inspections.
Correct.
Because you're not renting.
Okay, very clear, thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else, Megan?
Don't see anyone, Mayor.
Okay, so we'll close public hearing on this. Can I have a motion to approve 507-23? Wait, no, 511-23.
Oh, sorry.
So moved.
Second.
Committeeman Dorsey?
Yes.
Committeeman Ray?
Yes.
Committeeman, Deputy Mayor Pasurgia?
Yes.
Mayor Lavender?
Yes. Okay, next, consent agenda resolutions. Now, I think, Brendan, I notice you have an abstention on 23-079 and -080, right?
Yep, as well as 089 as well.
I'm sorry,
089.
089.
PBA sidebar.
and 089, yeah, you are correct. Okay. Any other abstentions? Okay.
Do you want to just mention that we're hiring this company to do the inspection?
Yeah,
And there's a separate fee for that.
okay, where is that?
It's 23088.
Right, and so Nancy just asked me just to mention 23-088, authorization to execute a purchase order with Bay Hill Environmental, not to exceed 10,000. That's the lead paint inspection company we're hiring, Dennis.
Mayor, can I just clarify? So basically, this law makes the municipality be the pass-through, so we have to collect this fee that the inspector would charge, and the fee is outlined in the resolution, and then we pass it along to the inspector minus the $50 administrative fee, and then we have to send $20 to the state. So we're basically just, a straw man. We're the third party who puts the people together. The law does give the individual homeowners the right to go out and hire their own inspectors as long as they can produce that certificate.
Thank you, Nancy. Brendan, I'm just noticing 23-087. Do you have to abstain for that as well, because that's with Millington Fire? No?
In general, no.
Okay,
I've
all right,
been-
that's fine.
My opinion, no.
Very good. All right, can I have a motion to approve resolutions 23-076 through 23-089 with the aforementioned abstentions?
So moved.
Second.
Committeeman Dorsey?
Yes.
Committeeman Ray?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Paserchia?
Yes.
Mayor Lavender?
Yes. Okay. Moving on to liaison reports. Matt, do you want to start?
Sure. All right, DPW. They started cleaning up the lake. They start draining it too, so if it gets lower, that's what's going on. Constantly doing pothole repairs. They're doing the tree trimming along township roads. And the always anticipated mulch deliveries will start next month, starting April 10th on Mondays and Fridays. I believe we sold out last year, so please make your orders early because it doesn't last long. Also, for recycling, don't forget, download Recycle Coach. It's a great app and it updates everybody and answers a lot of questions on dates and things you can recycle. DPW Facebook page is still out there. Join it. Compost drop-off anytime the DPW is open. And don't forget our used motor oil. So if you're changing your oil at home, bring it on in. We can recycle it there and use it for heat. And we still also programs we still have, the fluorescent light bulbs, styrofoam. Please bring your aluminum cans down because that'll help the St. Barnabas Burn Unit, which segues into the fire department report. The total calls to date for the fire departments are 27. They had a very nice dinner, both fire companies, on Saturday night at the Primavera. I'd like to congratulate Mark McAdon from Millington Fire Company for 45 years of service. And from Sterling, Troy Pytel and Jack Deedy each had 30 years of service. So thank all three of you and all the volunteers for all your dedication and time and the care you bring to this community. And finally, the much anticipated venison dinner, Saturday night, 6 o'clock. Tickets are limited, so contact a local person from the Sterling Fire Company ASAP if you want to go. I can tell you the food is excellent and all locally sourced and well prepared. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Matt. Brendan, any liaison report from you?
Hey, nothing from me.
Okay, thank you. Guy?
Nothing to report, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, Vic's not here, but I'm going to do the rec report. Let's see. So, in recreation, the playground at Myersville Ball Field was completed with a baseball, softball theme. I saw pictures of it. It looked pretty cool. Oh, there they are. Everyone on Zoom can see it. It's open to kids now to start playing. Next, we're still actively recruiting for summer recreation employees. You can see our flyer on the web and on the screen if you're watching at home. Application is an easy online process. It's on our website. Wrapping up on the 15th, our Long Hill Winter Landscapes Photography Contest. Wrapping up on the 15th of this month. Free entry for Long Hill residents on Community Pass. Check out some of the entries so far displayed in the lobby area by Recreation. Next, also wrapping up on the 15th, our Snow Fort Contest. We did get a little bit of snow a few days ago, at least for a couple of hours before it melted. But despite the less than exciting snowfall amounts this winter, several of our Long Hill kids actually have gotten out there and made the best of it. And we have heard a rumor Mother Nature may be planning some more snow for us this weekend, maybe. Next, there's still space in our babysitting training class to be held on Saturday, March 18th, open to students in grades 6 through 12. That's the babysitting training class. Next, Red Cross CPR AED classes. The March 15th class is now full. However, we still have a couple of spots available in tomorrow night's class. I assume that's tomorrow isn't tomorrow night, not right? Okay. 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. at the First Aid Squad building. Register on Community Pass. The class fee is $32. Next, on March 23rd, we'll host a ceramics class at the Millington Schoolhouse, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m., March 23rd. Participants will paint a bud vase. Okay, I won't say it. Come and get fired up with Kara, our instructor. Class fee is $30 and registration is on Community Pass. Next, our annual spring egg hunt will be held on Saturday, April 1st at 10 a.m. sharp in Canner Park. The snow and rain date on that's April 8th. It's a free event for Long Hill families. Ages 8 and under for the egg hunt, and you can get pictures with Peter Cottontail. Next, starting on March 15th. March 15th is a popular date, a lot of things happening. All Long Hill families with kids age 14 and under can pick up a spring activity packet. This packet contains coloring activities, but also provides a special tracking sheet to help us find clues from March 29th to April 6th on Peter Cottontail's travel through Long Hill parks. Each day, kids will be given clues to go out and find evidence of Peter Cottontail's travels. And at the conclusion, all participants will turn in their tracking sheets, and a winner will be drawn in a raffle for a special spring prize. Register on Community Pass starting when? March 15th. Also, just announced, for all of our new spring volunteer coaches, we will host a Rutgers Safety Clinic on Thursday, March 30th at the Millington Schoolhouse. Again, if you're coaching baseball or softball in town, you want this. The Rutgers Safety Clinic, March 30th, Millington Schoolhouse. Check the website. And coming soon, May 8th, a paper collage art workshop at the Millington Schoolhouse with local artist Danielle Oriema D'Amico. Registration is on Community Pass, and I'm exhausted. That's a lot. Thank you. Any other liaison reports? All right, Nancy, Administrator's Report.
Thank you, Mayor. We recently got our annual fire prevention business registration fees available to be paid online. People can visit the link on their invoice. They can still pay by mail or in person, but this option is being offered to make it more convenient for businesses. And for additional information, if they have questions, business owners can call the Fire Prevention Bureau at 647-8000, extension 307. We're working on making online payments available for planning and zoning applications as well. That's one of the last departments, so soon all of our payments made to the township will be able to be made electronically. But as always, people can mail them or bring them in, but we're trying to make it more convenient for residents. On behalf of the employees and the Township Committee, we want to express our condolences to Officer Dolores Langenbach on the passing of her father, Jim, passed away earlier today. And on a happier note, I'd like to congratulate Sergeant R.J. Sutton and his wife on the birth of their daughter. She was born yesterday, and her name is Abigail Lynn. So she joins their son, and we wish them the best.
That's great. Thank you.
That's all I have.
That's all?
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, no, I had one more thing.
Yeah, one more thing.
I know that this doesn't answer Mr. Arentowicz's question, but going back to the pilot, it does provide information that if we, with our current ordinary taxes escalated at 2% every year, during the 30 years of the proposed pilot, the township would collect $548,954, but under the pilot, they would, during that same 30-year period, the township would collect $20,839,302. And this is on Exhibit D of the pilot agreement.
And that's available on our website?
We can put that on the website. Right now, it's just the financial agreement that was referenced in the ordinance.
Okay.
So we could put the entire,
Yeah, if you could put the entire thing.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no
Okay.
reason why not, right, Jack?
Yeah, let's do it.
No reason. Of course, that's if the property's never developed.
Okay, let's see, going on, anything else, Nancy?
No, that's it.
Okay, going on, announcements. Matt, I believe you talked about the Sterling Fire Department venison dinner, March 11th, 6 PM.
Yes, sir, you can talk about it again, though.
Yeah, and a great event the other night.
Yes.
The installation of officers for the
Saturday.
2 fire departments. It was at the Primavera, great time had by all. Also, Long Hill Township Friends of the Library. Shred It Day is going to be April 22nd from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. I believe you can bring whatever you want document-wise over there and use their shredders, right?
It's gonna be $10 per box.
$10 per box. How big a box? Like a banker box?
Yes.
Like a banker box,
Yeah.
which would be about 24 by 16 inches by 16 inches. Okay. Any other announcements?
Oh, you
before-
forgot the 2 big ones. You have 2 birthdays in the room today.
Oh,
Al and Nancy.
Al and Nancy share the same birthday. Happy birthday.
And the mayor, as in past tradition, will sing
Happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you, happy birthday, LNC.
Happy birthday to.
Birthday to you.
That's a brand new,
There you go, that's
that's a
new.
brand new tradition.
Yeah.
Motion that the township committee never sings in public again.
Second. All right. At this point, let's open the meeting to the public. Any remarks and statements pertaining to any matter, comments and remarks, please limit to 3 minutes. Does anybody in the courtroom have something they'd like to talk about?
Good evening, everyone. Frank Liberato, Heritage Road, Millington. Wanted to talk about the EMS ordinance, 519-23. I think it's very good. You know, you guys consulted the squad and the reimbursement and the private ambulance. The one question I do have is, generally on all the squad calls, our police are first to respond. That's going to still be the process, and have the police been involved with that as far as staffing-wise? Because I know you're concerned about the squad picking up the slack, but at the same time, how does that affect the police department as far as response?
That's up to the police department how they respond, but we can't charge for the police.
No, I'm not, I would not, that wasn't my point, Mr. Pigeon.
Yeah, that'll be a management decision by the police
Right, but I
department.
guess that's what my question is. In other words, if we're concerned about the squad staffing meeting the requirement, and that's why they should have private ambulance, my concern is depending on the number of calls a place like that may have, our protocol currently, I believe, is police are the quickest generally to get to a squad call. If they have emergencies there, are they still going to be having the police go first, and then will that take resources away from potentially, other calls in town? And whether or not you're going to be hiring additional staffing or figuring out a way to handle that, just like you did with the squad situation, I guess is my question.
Yeah, I would say, that's something that we looked at even going back 2 years ago.
Mhm.
In fact, I personally went through a spreadsheet, and we did an analysis on that, and that's sort of where we came to where we are today on this. To date, I haven't heard that it's caused any conflicts or backlogs or anything like that, but obviously, when you look at staffing
Right, when
in
you're
total,
growing and you're going to have this big
you're gonna have to look
facility.
at staffing in total, and that's just
Right.
one more parameter that enters into the
Mm-hmm.
into the equation. So, yeah, no, we're aware of it.
Okay, so that is something that may be addressed down the road once
It's
this
definitely a
facility.
parameter when you look at staffing, for sure, yes, you're right.
All right, no, that's good. And I was also thinking, I know, picking up from the last meeting, when we talked about how many township employees we have, I think the administrator said somewhere in the area, 60. I know some towns do it, and maybe Mr. Pidgeot can elaborate on it, because he does work for other towns. Has the thought ever been considered about offering stipends to township employees to join one of the volunteer organizations, where there's the first aid squad or either fire company, to help also, with staffing, especially like, during the day when you have a lot of township employees here? I know some towns do that. Is that something that the committee's ever thought about? And, I'm not talking about a huge sum, but something where, somebody, if they pick up an extra responsibility, it might be something to think about.
Yeah, I'll let Jack comment on that. He's got a lot of experience with this kind of thing.
Yeah, it can be done. I think it's been discussed in the past, actually. But it would be a decision, policy decision by the township committee. They could
Yeah, I
certainly
mean, it's just
consider
a thought, as the town grows and you're gonna have more development and more residents in town, it might be a way to assist the volunteer agencies with, continued growth and staffing.
If I could just put that into perspective, Mr. Liberato, well, one thing, the town has not grown. There's actually less people today than there was in 2000. So I don't know what will happen in the future. I don't have a crystal ball.
Yeah, I'm talking about in the future, not
I
today.
I understand that. And honestly, I don't think the first aid squad or the fire companies have ever approached us. Fortunately, the fire companies are well-staffed, I think, and we'd certainly sit
Oh,
down.
yeah, it wasn't about staff, we're talking about future down the road, just thinking ahead with development as potential other avenues to, assist.
Again, as the mayor said earlier, these are hypotheticals.
Correct.
We will address them if there's a need.
In my experience, the towns have allowed employees to go on emergency calls during their workday without penalizing them, as opposed to, I know
Oh,
some
and that's
towns
good. That's
do
important.
stipends,
That's-
but some towns just allow the employee to respond.
No, that's very good.
I mean, by the way, thank you for bringing this up, because it's a way to thank our volunteer
Right, because
emergency
they are all
services, because
volunteer, and it's very important.
they go above and beyond. The fire companies are well-staffed and well-trained and do an outstanding job, and I would add the same thing about the first aid squad. They are phenomenal. Both sides generally don't ask for much. They just do their job silently and.
I agree. That's why it's very important that we continue to support them as we do. And that was just a thought. It's just something to continue to support them.
No,
It's just
thank you.
something
I
that,
appreciate you bringing it up.
No problem at all. Was there, I know we had talked last meeting about maybe getting some numbers on where the legal bills were, the total legal bills, and I
Yeah,
know
and you had
we
sent
had
me,
talked since.
yeah, you had sent me an email on that, and I've been doing a lot of thinking. I'm glad you brought that up, because I wanted to respond to you in public.
Okay.
So I know you opened some of this stuff, and you have some of the.
I have some of it.
Yeah,
I don't
you have
all of
that.
it.
You have what we would be looking at. But we kind of step back from that and want to take that in a little bit of a different direction. In the coming weeks, because we're in budget season now, and I think it's important to look at that in the context of the budget. Where we were year over year, 2022, and I'd say even going back to 2021, I want to take a look at, how we perform, not only in the area of like legal fees, but in other things too, like, public works, police, et cetera. What I'm planning to do is a presentation here in a meeting, and put together a PowerPoint for the residents to actually talk through all these things so they can understand everywhere their money's being spent and what the trend has been year to year. And so, right now tentatively I'm targeting probably the first meeting in May on this.
That would be great.
Right? Because I think that's when our budget is voted on, right?
It's probably gonna be towards the end of May.
Probably towards the end of May. We could do this probably in the context of two meetings, one being a look back and the other being talking about the 2023 budget. But I think that would, I would like the opportunity to be a little bit more thoughtful about it, rather than just like grab the numbers we can find and.
No, that's
those
fine. And
together.
if there's a handout to go with the PowerPoint so we can follow along, that's,
Oh, absolutely.
that
Well, in a perfect world, what I'd hope is we'd have those screens up, right? And if we don't, this thing's gonna come down, right? We're gonna project and, I'll do it from out there. But, give us the chance to do that and, hopefully I think that'd be a more accurate
no,
way of representing what
that's
we're
fine.
doing.
That's actually very good. Last question I had was, I know there wasn't a police liaison report this meeting or last meeting. Is there? Did we miss that or?
No, you didn't miss it.
So we continue to talk to Alexis and Jimmy on, some of the things that they're doing to get their arms around, organization over there. And I know Alexis is very focused on getting accreditation back. And they're simply working through a backlog of activities.
Okay, because normally you would, give like stats or whatever at each
Well,
meeting.
they're
so I was
working on a
wondering.
backlog of activities. They're looking to hire new officers. They're very busy over there. They're
Yeah.
doing their job.
Like, so for instance, Frank, one of the things, I don't know if you noticed it in consent agenda, the sidebar agreement with the PBA, right? And so, what we've done in there is, they're gonna be hiring some special law enforcement officers, a couple of those. We also know that we have several officers that are all, they either have personal things going on or some vacations and
Leave
stuff.
time coming up, that kind of thing?
Well,
like leave?
we loosened some of the restrictions in the PVA agreement so that officers weren't penalized, for going on vacation in certain times of staffing shortages. So, these are the kind of things that we're working through, and like Matt said, it's all a backlog that we're chipping away at.
And they also have, Lex and Jimmy actually took the foresight to ask for money in advance for the budget to order the police cars this year, so they don't have to wait online for them. So they actually took some initiative
Yeah.
and requested money in advance, because they always get 2 new police cars, so instead of waiting until the budget's passed, they did it now, so they can order them earlier and get these cars on the road and moving at a better price. So thank you to the 2 of them for being insightful and communicating better.
Well, I wasn't, don't take it the wrong way that I was questioning what they were doing. I know they're busy. I was just asking where the report was, Committeeman Dorsey, so I wouldn't take it from that vantage point.
Yeah, all
I know
good.
they work very hard. Has there been any discussion as far as what the plans are this year? I know Committeeman Dorsey had said that the salary that had been set aside for the previous chief was put towards the settlement agreement. Has there-
Not really.
You know, one can look at these things as balancing out that way, but factually speaking, anything to do with the settlement came from last year's budget, right? And it says no impact on 2023.
So you will, I guess, be hiring a chief at some point, or appointing a chief, I should say?
We're looking at personnel right now. And, you know, I can't really comment, you know, much beyond that, just because of sensitivity of personnel discussions in public. But,
All right, very good.
okay, thanks,
Thank you
Frank.
very much for your time. Appreciate it.
Sure. Anybody else in the courtroom like to make a comment? All right. Megan, is there anybody online who would like to make a comment?
CA would like to speak?
Hi, go ahead.
Charles Arenowitz, Millington. Mayor, a couple of questions and then a comment. The first question is to the deputy mayor. My understanding is you voted against the consent agenda on February the 8th. And then on February 22nd, you stated that you voted against the consent agenda because of the NAGA settlement. I'd like to know why you did not move the agreement to discussion out of the consent agenda.
It wasn't in the consent agenda. It was outside of the consent agenda, Mr. Arentowitz.
I'll have to look back, but I'm not sure that's the case.
No, that's correct, Chuck. But that's okay.
I'll look at that.
Okay.
Second one, Mayor. I read the article about the Oprah requests, and you indicated the important thing to look at is, and most relevant question was, who most often filed requests? So I opened the log, and if I take the 2 people out that you mentioned in the article, there is a requester known as Anonymous, and they had 17 requests. And then so they were third, and the 4th one was first last, and they had 11. I'd like to know what they have cost the taxpayer in terms of time to respond to the Oprah requests, who they are.
Well, good question.
They
Let's
don't-
see, or
They
maybe-
don't have to identify themselves. We have to fill Oprah requests that come in from wherever, as long as they're in writing and they have an email. What they request is what we have to fill.
So we don't know who those
I have
people
no
are?
idea.
Okay.
How many GRC complaints have the first, last, and/or anonymous filed?
0.
0.
Okay.
How do we know who they are?
We
Or if
don't.
they didn't?
Well, Attorney Pigeon and I are saying that they have not filed any GRC complaints against us, so.
I guess if they did file a GRC complaint, they'd have to identify themselves.
Yes, they would.
Okay.
We know who filed the complaint, so,
They
Okay,
can go under Jane Doe. It was when we were at the,
right?
okay.
So what did they cost us in Mr. Pigeon's time?
Jack, do you have a,
I can give you bottom line numbers, but I can't give you breakdowns, not off the top of my head.
so the cost of it is probably related to the number of documents that you had to retrieve, and you'd have to go back through each request and do that?
Correct. I tried to identify the request in my bills, but I didn't break it down, you know,
Okay.
that I can print out a report. I can print out a report immediately on how much I spent on Oprah requests. I could, if you wanted, break it down by requestor
That'd be interesting to know. All right, well,
Yeah.
Chuck, I guess we don't have an answer for you.
Yeah, sounds like it. Second one, the third thing is a comment.
Chuck, can you do, I apologize for cutting you off. It's very difficult to hear you. If you could speak closer to the mic or whatever it is, I think it would be
Okay.
great for everyone.
Megan's trying to turn it up, I guess. Want me to wait?
No, keep going.
I watched the February 22nd meetings, especially when the mayor spoke. And I look at the decorum ordinance, and there was a lot of communication amongst the township committee when people were speaking, and I don't think that's right. I think you need to focus on the resident that's speaking at the time. If we have to abide by the decorum ordinance, I strongly would hope that you would as well. And I don't think coming dressed business style is great, but I'd really appreciate the respect shown to the residents when they're speaking. And if you watch the meeting on the 22nd, rewatch it, you'll see what I'm saying.
I'll
That's
go
all I
back
have
and watch it,
for now.
Chuck.
Great. Thanks for your time.
All right, thanks, Chuck. Anybody else online, Megan?
Dennis Sandow would like to speak.
Hi, go ahead.
We are now 2 weeks closer than we were at the last meeting, the street fair. And at the last meeting, at the end of my comments, I pointed out that we have a stage and encourage musical groups to perform during the day, and I suggested the committee might want to form that musical group. After what I heard a few minutes ago, I withdraw that request.
I think that's a wise choice, Dennis.
But on a serious note, I do hope that the committee and the administration are working to put together a package of municipal participation like I asked for at the last meeting. And I would be great to hear a little bit of comment and reaction to that.
So your request generated a lot of talk amongst us. I would say for sure that you'll have the township committee there. And, I don't know that it's realistic to get all of the township employees out. I think it's a nice notion. Logistically, I think it'd be difficult to get that many commitments. But
We
we'll
have
do.
to pay them too?
Well, yeah, and that's the other thing too. We're paying overtime while we do that. Kind of works a few different ways there. But we're gonna do the best we can to create a little bit more engagement from the local government, the administration, and the public. And I think the street fair. I think the notion of what you said is like doing that at the street fair is a good venue and the right thing to do.
The only reason I'm bringing it up again is because very soon I'm going to have to start getting a commitment on how much space you need physically. And so I will need some sort of coordination
Okay.
quite soon.
All right, I'm
about
tracking.
how much space you're actually intending to take up.
Got it. All right. So we owe you an answer.
Thank you.
Thanks. Anybody else online, Megan?
If anybody else on Zoom would like to make a public comment, please raise your hand now. I don't see anyone, Mayor.
Okay. Well, I'm going to close public comment. And I'll ask the committee here if anybody would like to make a motion to adjourn.
So
To
moved.
executive
Wait, we're
session.
going-
And we're going to go back to executive.
And adjourn at the end.
No
of
further
executive.
action.
Right, no further action. We'll adjourn at the end of executive.
Very good. All right.
Motion.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Who made it? Who made
Mike.
the motion?
I made
I don't know.
Who made a second?
Matt made the second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.